What is going on, Slumpbusters? This is your boy Kyle, and we are back with another YouTube quick hitter. At the end of the NBA's free agency period, the Chicago Bulls have finally moved Lauri Markkanen to another team. Markkanen is headed to the Cleveland Cavaliers in a sign-and trade that will pay Markkanen 4 years and $67 million worth of money to play for the only franchise that over the last 3 years has had a worse record than the Chicago Bulls. For Markkanen, he was just on his rookie contract, so this is probably the one big payday Markkanen was going to get in his career. He told the Bulls that when he turned down an $80 million contract prior to last season, was that this was his time to look out for himself and his finances after being a team first guy over the first 4 years of his career. So Markkanen ends up being the power forward, replacing whatever's left of Kevin Love in Cleveland. Larry Nance Jr. got traded to the Portland Trail Blazers as part of this deal, so Markkanen now replaces what was lost by Larry Nance Jr., and the Bulls ended up getting Derrick Jones Jr. and a protected first-round pick from Portland, which is just a victory for the Bulls because Derrick Jones Jr. is better than nothing. They thought Markkanen was going to leave in free agency, so they get something instead of nothing for Lauri Markkanen. And Chicago had made this huge effort over the offseason to improve their team. They traded all their first-round picks in exchange for Nikola Vukovic, and then signed Lonzo Ball and signed DeMar DeRozan. They really want to push for that 6th seed, and they were kind of moving those young guys that they had built over the years out the door because it didn't really translate into anything. As for Markkanen, he doesn't really move the needle too much for the Cavs. The Cavs still have bigger fish to fry in terms of figuring out what they're going to do with Colin Sexton, or whether Darius Garland is a player they can build their franchise around, what to do with some aging, expiring contracts, most of which being Kevin Love, and whether or not they want to actually trade for a bona fide superstar instead of giving cap space to these mid-level players. The Cavaliers don't really look like a playoff team anytime soon, and the Markkanen upgrade over Larry Nance Jr. is at least an effort to show that they're actually trying to compete. The one thing that I find really interesting in the aftermath of this is that the Markkanen trade from Chicago officially concludes the aftermath of the original Jimmy Butler trade. Because people may remember in 2017, the Chicago Bulls traded Jimmy Butler on draft day to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And in exchange for Jimmy Butler, which started this whole rebuild for the Chicago Bulls, the Timberwolves sent Chris Dunn, who ended up not doing very much with the Chicago Bulls, Gorgui Dieng, who is now on the Memphis Grizzlies. I think he had one good season during the Bulls rebuild. And the two key pieces that went the other way were Zach LaVine and the number 7 pick in the 2017 draft, which became Lauri Markkanen. So the finisher, as John Buccigross gave him that nickname coming out of the draft, is now no longer a Chicago Bull. His 4-year tenure with Chicago is done, and ultimately, while the trade didn't turn out super well for the Bulls, given that they've been the second worst team in terms of record in the NBA since that trade, they did end up getting Zach LaVine out of the deal. And a Jimmy Butler for Zach LaVine swap could be worse, but they didn't really get much else other than just Lauri Markkanen being a 15-point-a-game guy on teams that were pretty much guaranteed to miss the playoffs every single year. Make sure to check out the Slumpbuster podcast on our march to 1,500 followers, and make sure to check out the Caveman Coffee Company and use the promo code SLUMP with the link in the description to this episode. Thank you, everybody, for stopping in.